Hi, it's Andrea here from Kindersleep. I had a question from one of our mommies and I didn't get a chance to get back to her, so I thought I would just do a really quick video. She had a question about night terrors, and her child is having night terrors. So I want to share some tips how to prevent and how to treat night terrors. But first of all, how do you know it's a night terror? So a night terror is a type of confusional arousal. There are other types of confusional arousals, such as sleepwalking and sleep talking. And night terrors is one that is usually pretty disturbing. It typically happens at the beginning of the night, so often between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. Awakings that happen, 2, 3, 4 o'clock could actually be just a nightmare. But the one thing that you'll know if you are having a night terror or not is usually the child does not acknowledge the parent's presence. So you could have screaming or even just talking or behavior that it doesn't calm down when you walk in the room. And so even if the child has their eyes open, they could actually be in a state of sleep. And so night terrors really is kind of, or confusional arousals are kind of getting wakeful in the middle of a deep sleep cycle. So normally we go into a light sleep and deeper sleep, deeper sleep, deeper sleep, and then we come out of this a bit gradually with a REM sleep, and then we wake up. But if you wake up in one of your deeper stages of sleep, then you could have these sorts of behaviors. They're often caused by being overtired, and this is usually the cause. So when we look at the schedule and how long the child is awake before bed, it's usually longer than that child needs to be awake. And how you can tell is you can start watching your child a few hours before their normal bedtime, maybe 2 or 3 hours, and you may notice some tired signs happening, that a lot of children will yawn, rub their eyes, and before that you might see some zoning out or staring off into space or stopping play for a moment. But the yawning, the rubbing the eyes, the getting crabby, and if they're not going to bed at that time, you may get what we call a cortisol rush. A lot of parents call it the second wind or the third wind. In research, it is called the wake maintenance zone. And it's actually a time period that makes it very hard to fall asleep. But if your child is entering that zone, then they're definitely overtired. And so the best option is to get them into bed before they get overtired in the first place. And then you might actually not see the arousals at all. So when your child is having these arousals, the big key is that they don't acknowledge your presence. So touching them can actually be quite disturbing. So if you wake your child up in the middle of night terror, they probably they're probably gonna feel disoriented or not know where you are or what you're doing, and where they are or what they're doing. And you might look concerned, and that will concern them. So you can, first of all, we want to make sure that they're safe, that they're not bumping into anything. And then you could offer verbal reassurance. So you could do some shushing, calming, singing, using, oftentimes we use mantra or keywords, comfort words, whatever your bedtime words are. And that might help your child to sort of get back into a sleep. Usually the recommendation is to not touch the child during the episode. And with a night terror or a confusional arousal, there's usually no recollection of it in the daytime at all. So a lot of children have these and they fall back to sleep and then they have no idea what happened in the night. Good news, if your child is starting earlier in their life with night terrors, the night terrors often will end sooner. So children who are starting night terrors when they're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old may have night terrors into their adult years. So if you have a toddler who's showing night terrors, then there's a good chance that they're not going to be a lifetime issue. So prevention is really key. So we talked a little bit about preventing overtiredness. There's one other thing that you can do that will likely stop the night terrors cold, and that is if they're happening at about a regular time, go into your child about an hour before they occur and lighten your child's sleep. So that means touch them, put a blanket on them, shift them a little bit just so that they stir a bit. They don't have to wake up, and that will snap them out of that deeper sleep phase, and they probably won't have the night terror at all. There is a device on the market, which I can't remember the name of it right now, where you put it underneath the bed and it stimulates the child before they wake up. But basically, you can just, before you go to bed, put your hand on your child or tuck them in, and there's a good chance they won't have that night terror at all. So you can try that. Let me know if there's anything I can help with. But looking at the overtired piece, preventing, doing the lightening of sleep, and just managing it as best you can, and try not to make a big deal about it in the daytime. Hope that helps. Take care. Bye.